Okie dokie, 7th grade. We are going to be graphing, lines today. So we've been working with this equation, y equals mx plus b. Just like if I was in the classroom, potentially I have a sub today. If I write it down, I need you to write it down too. So write this down. Okay. We already know what m and b mean, so let's go ahead and review that. M is see if you can write, it's 3 words. M is the rate of change. And the way that we find the rate of change is the change in y over the change in x. Remember, y goes up and down, and x goes side to side. Okay. Now, think about b. Remind yourself of what b equals. Look back in your notes. B is the y value when x is 0. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be given one of those equations, y equals mx plus b, where m and b have numbers instead of the letters, and we're actually going to graph the line instead of seeing the line and then writing the equation. So we're kind of working backwards today. So I've got some notes on Eduphoria, and then the assignment is also in Eduphoria. So the way that I'm doing this in this video is the same way you're going to do this on the assignment, and also on any tests we take this year, and pretty much in any standard program where you do have to graph lines. So this should carry over very nicely for you guys. Let's look at the first example. I've already got it written down off to the side. It's y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. So I'm going to call this example 1. You guys are going to write this down. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. Okay. What that means is m is negative 2/3. And that means b is 4. Okay, so the y value for when x is 0, we're going to call this the beginning point. And because it's the y value when x is 0, we're going to begin on the y-axis. So we're going to actually begin on the y line. So what I'm going to do is on Eduphoria, there's a graph, and wherever you put a point, it'll start graphing the lines. Okay. If you have messed up like I just did, right? I've got points all over the place. If you hit clear all, it'll get rid of what you've graphed. Okay. Now we're going to begin on the y-axis, that's the up and down number line. So I'm going to begin on this up and down number line at positive 4, which is right here. Okay, that's the first step. We're already done with step 1. Now we're going to look at the rate of change. This is negative, and we've talked about on a graph, if the rate of change is negative, it's because the line went down. So this 2 is going to go down. The top number will always tell us if we're going to go up or down. If it's positive, we'll go up, and if it's negative, we'll go down. The denominator, the bottom number, is always going to go to the right. After we graph 2 points, we'll have the line. So essentially from the beginning point, where I had on the y-axis at 4, we're going to count down 2 times, and then we're going to count right 3 times. So I'm going to put another dot, and I'm going to move it down 2 times, and then right 3 times. And then there's the line. So you can see from this point, I've gone down twice and right. I've gone down twice and right. 1, 2, 3. That didn't go the way I wanted to do. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. Let's move on to number 2 before I confuse anybody. Looking at number 2. Let me pause this video. Okay, I fixed my screen, so it looks better now. Okay, number 2 from the notes say, so I'm going to write down number 2, says y equals 1/4 x minus 6. I just rewrote the equation that was right here. That was right over here. I don't know why I can't highlight that. Okay. I just rewrote the equation that was from the question, y equals 1/4 x minus 6. Okay. I'll identify what m and b are. Okay. From the equation, we've got, in the b spot, we have a minus 6. So b is negative 6. And then in the m spot, we have 1/4, and there's no sign in front of 1/4, which means it's positive. Now, since it's positive, this 1 will tell us to go up, and remember, the denominator always goes to the right. Okay, I've written this, you write it. Why did I write b equals negative 6? Because in place of plus b from this equation, we have a minus 6. So I wrote negative 6 for b. Why did I write m equals 1/4? Because in the equation, y equals mx plus b. In the m spot, we have 1/4. The b is where we begin. And remember, we're going to begin on the y line. Write the word begin. The y line is the up and down number line. So on the up and down number line, I need to find negative 6. Remember, negative goes down on the number line. So here's negative 6. I'll put a dot right there. My next dot has to go up 1 time and right 4 times from the beginning dot. So from this beginning point, I need to go, oops, again. I need to go up once and then right 1, 2, 3, 4. I've gone up once and right 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Okay. Let's look at number 3. Make sure this is all written down. I'm going to get rid of all of this in like 10 seconds. Make sure this is all written down. If you don't have this written down, make sure you rewind this video and go get this written down. Okay. Now we're on number, I need not the highlighter, I need the pen. Okay. Looking at number 3. The equation says y equals negative 4/3 x. This is trickier. We need to identify what m is and what b is. Remember, the equation should look like y equals mx plus b. But when I look at this, there's nothing. There's no constant, no plain number by negative 4/3 x. There is nothing in the plus b spot. That means that b is 0. Because if we add 0, the value of this does not change. Okay, so I know that I would have to begin on the y line at 0. Okay, now let's look at m, the rate of change. M, the rate of change in this equation, is negative 4/3. That means from my beginning point, I'm going to move, right? Moving starts with M, beginning starts with B. I'm going to move negative 4. That's going to tell me that the line has to go down 4 times. So from my beginning point of 0, we'll count down 4 times. And then the denominator always tells us to go to the right. Okay, so from, on our graph, negative 4/3 x, we need to put our beginning point at 0. And then from 0, I hope you guys can see this little crisscross cursor that I'm using. We have to count down 1, 2, 3, 4 times and write 1, 2, 3 times. Now, just in case you can't see that, I'll clear out what I just did. I'll put 2 dots on my graph. Okay, so I'm going to take my second dot here, right here, and I have to move it down 1, 2, 3, 4 times and write 1, 2, 3 times, and that's where I put the dot. So we began at 0, and then we moved down 1, 2, 3, 4, and write 1, 2, 3. Now let's do number 4. Number 4 has the equation y equals x plus 4. So again, we need to identify what m is, because m will tell us how we move. And we need to identify what b is, because b tells us where to begin. Okay. So b is the number that's a constant. It's not multiplying by x. It's adding or minusing from the x stuff. Okay, so this is b, and it's positive, so this is positive 4 where I need to begin. Now for m, there's nothing here. In number 3, when there was nothing there, we said it was plus 0 because adding 0 doesn't change the value. Right here, though, we're not adding to x. Remember, this is what multiplies by x. What number do we multiply by to get exactly back what we started with? How can I multiply by a number but not change the value? How many letter x's are literally written down here? That's 1. We have 1 letter x written down, or if I multiply by 1, the value doesn't change. That means that if I don't see a number in front of the x, the rate of change is 1. Now this is where I get stuck, because that's not a fraction. And the fraction always tells me in the numerator if I should go up or down, and the denominator tells me to always go right. That's not a problem though. I can write whole numbers like fractions. The denominator is just going to be a 1. So the rate of change in number 4 is 1, which I can rewrite or rename as 1 over 1. This is a positive 1, so the numerator is going to tell me to go up. And then the denominator 1 tells me that I have to go to the right 1 time. Let's recap. We had a b value of 4, so we're going to begin at 4. We had an m value of 1, which is the same as 1 over 1, so we're going to move up once and right once from the beginning point 4. Let's see what that looks like on the graph. So I've got a 4 right here. That's my beginning point. And now to get to the next point, I count up 1 time and right 1 time, and that's where I put my new point. Just in case, let's see that again. I'm counting up once and right once. we can see we have to go up one, right one to get from one point to the next. To move from one point to the next, we have to move up once and right once, just like we had said. Let's look at number 5. Number 5 wants me to graph the line y equals negative 2x. Extend that a little bit. Okay. So number 5 says to graph y equals negative 2x. Okay, before I can graph it, I need to know what m is, because m tells me how to move on the graph from my beginning point. Speaking of beginning point, I also need to know what b is, because that tells me where to begin. Okay, so when I look at the equation y equals mx plus b, or y equals negative 2x, I don't see any plain number. I don't see a constant in place of plus b. When I'm adding or subtracting, if I want to add or subtract in a way where I don't change the value, that's going to be adding 0. Or there are 0 plain numbers written down. Okay, so I've got 0 is where I'm going to begin at. The rate of change is the number that's being multiplied by x, and in this case, there's negative 2 right there. So the rate of change, or m, is negative 2. This is, again, where I get stuck, because that's a whole number, which means I don't see a denominator right now. And if I don't see the denominator, I don't know how far right I should go. That's okay, because we can rewrite whole numbers as fractions if I make the denominator 1. Now I've got a fraction, negative 2 over 1. Because this is negative, I know I have to move down 2 times from my beginning point. And I always go to the right for the denominator, so I'll move right 1 time. So from my beginning point at 0, I need to move down, okay, from my beginning point at 0, I need to do down 2 times, right 1 time. One more time. What is going on with this? Okay, let's try that again. I need to move this point down 2 times, and then right 1 time. Because from the beginning point 0, I was supposed to move down twice and right once. Okay, that is all of the notes I have for today. There is something on Eduphoria titled Assignment Graphing Y equals mx plus b. Those 5 questions look really similar to the ones we just did. None of them are identical, but if you took really good notes and understand this video, you should do really well on the assignment. If you have any questions, please shoot me a Schoology message and I will get back to you as soon as I can. When I get back on Monday, we will begin reviewing for our very first benchmark. So, yippee! Thank you.